Hi. Wow, this is a lot of people. This is actually the first speech I've ever given in my life. And I have been so terrified all night. So if it goes wrong, it's not my fault. I'd like to start by thanking the Human Rights Campaign for hosting this wonderful evening and for all the amazing work you do for the community. It's needed more than ever right now. And thank you so much for this honor. It's really difficult to put into words what it means to me. I'm very grateful to be able to stand here tonight in a room of such inspiring people. Especially inspiring to me is my dear friend Dylan. Thank you for that lovely speech. I will always be your twink. Our friendship is one of the things I'm most grateful for in my life. I'm sure you all know Dylan and how amazing she is, but I wish that everyone got to know Dylan the way I know Dylan. She's the bravest, most self-assured, and genuinely good person I've ever met. The perfect mix of the wisdom of an old hippie and the energy of an ADHD musical theatre kid. I'm so lucky to be your friend, Dylan, and I can't wait to see all the amazing things that you will do. Anyway, enough about her, now back to me. My life changed very drastically when I was 17, when I somehow managed to persuade the right people to cast me in a little show called Heartstopper. When we were making season 1, none of us had any idea of the impact the show would have. We just knew the story of these two boys was a beautiful one and that it needed to be told. I was not prepared for the instant reaction from people all around the world. It's a very unique experience to go from having no Instagram followers to 3 million Instagram followers in 2 days. We were completely blown away by how much people loved the story of Nick and Charlie and how much people could relate to it. If anyone was to ever argue to me that representation doesn't matter, I'd show them my Instagram DMs. Even now, 3 years after season 1 premiered, I get DMs every day about how much the show means to people and how they saw themselves in the character for the first time. The reaction to the show that I least expected, and makes me the most emotional, however, was that of the older generation of queer people. When the show first premiered, most of the reaction was coming from people of my own age and my own generation who were able to grow up with some level of queer representation on screen, saying how much they enjoyed the show. It wasn't until a few weeks after the show came out that I started noticing people who didn't have the luxury of growing up in a more tolerant society express the melancholy that they felt whilst watching the show. I've had so many conversations with people about how a show like Heartstopper would have positively impacted their life if it had been made when they were younger. We can't fix the mistakes of society's past, but I'm so proud that a show as outwardly queer as Heartstopper can be made today. And I hope with every fibre of my being that we never return to a world that young queer people can't see themselves represented in the media that they consume. I feel incredibly grateful to have been part of Heartstopper, and I'm incredibly proud of the impact that it has had and continues to have. I grew up on a tiny island in the UK called the Isle of Man, which none of you will have heard of. It's a beautiful place that's known for a big motorbike race and also a place where you don't pay taxes. So there's a lot of rich people there. I feel very lucky to have grown up there. It is very beautiful, and it's the kind of place that you don't lock your front door and the only news articles are about the one break-in that happens once a year. Being a teenager in the Isle of Man, however, is less fun because you'll go to the shop and try and buy a bottle of vodka when you're underage, and your mum will find out about it before you even got home. When I realized I was gay, I became interested in the history of LGBT rights in the island. The Isle of Man legalized homosexuality in 1992, which was 25 years after the rest of the UK. The law would have remained unchanged for much longer if it wasn't for the actions of a man called Alan Shea. None of you will know who he is. He's a normal man from the Isle of Man who still lives there with his husband. But to me, he's my hero. In July 1991, on the Isle of Man's National Day, Alan wore a pair of striped pink pajamas with a pink triangle on his chest to deliver a petition to the Isle of Man government to demand the legalization of homosexuality. He delivered his petition in front of thousands of people hurling the most awful abuse at him. His extreme act of bravery, placing himself directly in front of the people who denied his right to exist, was instrumental in the law being changed. Alan did not use his actions to get attention. He's not famous. He acted because he knew it was the right thing to do. His bravery is a clear example of how the right thing to do is often also the hardest thing to do, something I think we should all remember right now. That just because the whole world seems to be against you, it doesn't diminish your right to demand respect for your existence. Since Alan's protest, the Isle of Man has come so far in its acceptance of queer people. In fact, Alan and his husband were guests of honour to the island's National Day in 2021, 30 years after his protest. I'm proud to be from the Isle of Man, and I'm proud of my home for the progress it has made and continues to make. Thank you again to the Human Rights Campaign for this honour, and I promise to continue to use the platform that I've been given to do the right thing, not the easy thing. Thanks.